Welcome to another episode of UnVeil. On this platform, I interview women of color on discovering the beauty that lives and lies within them. We also take a closer look through their eyes on their interpretation of what they define as beautiful. My guest today is Nikk Rich, who's known for her work in the field of photography. Her subjects are women of color, at which I find she is capturing the Black women's grace, style, and allure through fashion, beauty, and digital collage. So without further ado, Nikk Rich. Yay!
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. I'm like I said, going into this interview, I always, do my research of everyone I'm speaking to. And man, I really am excited, like I said, to have this discussion because I actually almost feel like I can tell you on my hand how many for like artists I love, right? I
Mhm,
can even tell you on both hands.
mhm.
Um, but to actually really say to myself, did I know any Black women photographers? I was like, yikes.
Ugh,
I didn't even,
ugh,
I know.
I hate it so much, and
Yeah,
it's just like,
yeah,
y
we're definitely gonna get into it. We're definitely gonna
okay,
get, yeah, because I have my questions for sure.
cool.
But first let's start with you, right? And I want to know, growing up, who or what were your beauty inspirations?
I mean, naturally, my beauty inspiration was my mother, my aunts,
Mhm,
just all the women, in my family.
mhm.
Uh, they They were always so stylish and so fun, and they all had their own individual style, but they were all kind of like similar. So it was just and like how close they were together. And they used to come over and like share clothes. And my aunt used to come in the house and go straight to my mom's closet and just like, hey, can I have this purse? What about these boots? Can I take this skirt? You know? It was really them, and it was just really my mom. Looking back on photos of her, I was like, dang. My mom was fly. So, really my mom and my aunts. Yeah,
Mhm.
those are my
Was this
girls.
in you were raised born in Brooklyn, right? In New York?
I was born in Brooklyn, but I was raised in Woodbridge, Virginia. I was raised in the DMV.
Okay, and DMV.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, because I
Yeah.
you got that 703 area code. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what that's about.
Yeah.
And then how did you go from New York to Woodbridge, and then you went to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
How was that kind of
So
yeah?
I went from Brooklyn to Woodbridge to Atlanta to Woodbridge and then to Hong Kong and then back to Woodbridge and then LA. Um I
Oh,
went to high school in Atlanta for like 2 seconds, maybe for like 2 years, like
okay,
senior, junior year.
okay,
And then I went to Hong Kong. I was only supposed to go there because I went to Savannah College of Art and Design, um, based in Savannah, Georgia. They have a couple locations, so Savannah, Georgia, Atlanta, Hong Kong, and then Lacoste. And I wanted to go to Lacoste, but they didn't offer anything that I could take any courses for me. So then naturally, naturally, it's just a different culture, and I was trying to go as far away as possible. And Hong Kong campus opened for like a year. I was just like, I gotta go.
and this
I'm
is
just gonna
scat.
go. This is SCAD, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Now I understand. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, where's my visa? What do I need to do? Like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was only supposed to go there for like 10 weeks because that's how long our semesters were. But I ended up staying for like 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me that experience, right? You go from being in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
see, you see everyone that looks like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now going to Hong Kong, and now you're the minority.
Mm-hmm. Um, I mean, going in, I mean, I knew it was gonna be like another culture shock. Like I was trying to get away from another one culture shock, and then I just put myself in another one.
Yeah.
Um, and I knew that I would be the minority, but for me, like I could really focus and hone in on like what I want to do and what like whatever my objective is.
Mhm.
And I knew going in, of course, I'd be the only minority. So having that forefront, I went in head first. I had Black friends though. I had friends from from the States who were in school with me. And then I made friends there. People from like Africa, people from like Italy. I mean, I had friends from all over the world because Hong Kong, just like New York, is like a melting pot. So
Mm,
everyone is there.
yeah.
Everyone. So I didn't feel that like I stood out too much.
Mhm.
Maybe when I decided to go into like the country parts or when I went to other islands around Hong Kong, like Macau, um, or when I went into like more local like neighborhoods, then like I would feel really. I remember one time I did feel really crazy, but I just never ever went back to that area.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I mean, yeah, it got weird, you know. Sometimes I'd be out having like a drink with a friend in the middle of the day, like doing homework, and you know, he's doing whatever. And next thing you know, I'll get a tap on my shoulder, and this little Asian woman wants to take a photo with me. Who am I?
What?
Who am I? You know what I mean? And it
Wow.
was simply because I was black.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff becomes intrusive, but you can also kind of like handle those situations, you know, like just say no. Just like
Mhm.
no.
Mhm.
Um
It's almost like somebody coming up to you like, "Can I touch your hair?" You're like, "Why do you touch my hair?" Like, what is
Like, I mean, with no context, with no context.
yeah.
Like, you're like, why? Like, what's going on? And
Mhm.
he had to tell me, my friend Serge, he was like, yeah, it's just because you're black. I'm like, why are they not bothering you? Like, no
Right.
one's coming up to you. He was like, I don't know. Maybe they could feel that I've been here for like 10 years. I was like, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
you know?
So where did, from the connection from Atlanta to,
Mhm.
studying abroad, where did photography come in as like, oh my gosh, this is the field that I want to, work in and kind of be a part of?
Yeah. I mean, photography has always been here. It's been in within me maybe since I was like 12, 11.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had went to school with my sister for maybe like I think like a semester and a half. She went to like this school in Winchester, Virginia, like out in the boonies, called Shenandoah University.
Oh, I know Shenandoah, like the area. Yeah. Okay.
Oh well, it's like over there, kind of close
Yeah,
to
yeah.
West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Again, another culture shock that like I'm cool without going back to. Um, So I was going to school with her, and like sometimes she'll take me to class with her. Me and my sister were really, really, really close. So
Wait, are
she
you
just,
guys, when you're saying she's taking you to class, are you saying like you're tagging along and,
yeah,
or
like
you
I'm
guys are
sitting
like,
in the seat next to her.
how did they get allow that in?
Honestly, I don't even know. I
Oh,
have no idea. I would just be there. She would just be like, "Come on, you come to class with me." Like I
yeah.
would just be there,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes like I would participate in class. Like it
Oh,
was just, and it wasn't like I was in class with her every single day. So when I was going to class with her, she was a communications major.
mhm.
Um, she had a class where she had to take photos, and she had so much work. You know, in addition to that class, I would just take photos for her. And from there, I was like figuring out how a camera worked and like what I really liked and, you know,
Mhm.
whatever, whatever. And in the morning times before we would go to school, there she had like this MAC Cosmetics like postcard on her refrigerator. And it was like this woman who had green tea like falling off of her hair, and her face was so well composed, and you know, it was just like this composition, and it was just beautiful, and it was like a beauty shot. And I would literally stare at it during breakfast every single morning trying to figure out like how is this even possible? You know, before then I didn't know anything about compositing. So I'm like, how can she have tea falling off her head? But she's like, okay. I'm like, ain't the tea hot? You know, like my little child brain trying to figure out and trying to understand, you know, how's her skin so smooth? How is this made? You know, I'm naturally a curious person. So I'm like sitting here
Me too.
trying to understand. So from there, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out how this was done.
Mm-hmm.
So with that curiosity and then me taking photos for her, that was me figuring out, you know, how can I make this my end? Right. So I was taking photos of like nature and rubber bands and like, you know, light and shadow, you know, simple stuff. But I was figuring out
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. that you love
This is
just doing that. You know, it's funny. A lot of times people don't even realize that when they do these small things, right? And they think
mhm,
like, why am I even doing this? Like, what does it even, what does that even mean?
mhm.
But it's actually prepping your, preparing you for a
Yeah,
bigger purpose, right? Because you need the practice and you need to have an understanding of just something that you're just, just the camera itself or just life in general.
exactly.
The thread will eventually connect to the bigger meaning.
Yep, yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that because my grandfather, like, he didn't know what he was doing, but he naturally understood the elements of design. So
Mm,
he was also a tailor, but he also really cared about the way he composed family portraits.
wow.
Like, I'm talking about me coming home as a baby, we have all these wonderful photos of just mundane things, everyday things.
Hmm.
And so he gave me his camera and he kind of was just like, he taught me little things like don't have a pole coming out of people's heads and, whatever, whatever. And, from there, I kind of just I ran. I was like, how do I learn more? And at the time, YouTube wasn't as developed.
Right.
So I went to school.
Well, let me ask you something. I'm going to take it just a little bit back. When you talked about your sister taking a photography class, was the photography class at the time where like you would go into a dark room and then you would
No.
print out the image? No, it wasn't. Okay.
No, I would love that. That would have been like, wow. But no, it was a digital camera. They gave her a digital camera. They said, here, rent this for the semester. And
Oh,
just,
okay. Okay.
yeah.
I was like,
I
oh.
did that stuff like later. I did that later, like when I was in school. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and you doing that to how did Black women become your subject for the work that you do now?
Natural, just innately, I've always wanted to photograph Black women because I just find us beautiful, and I see the lack of us in mainstream.
Mm,
So when I could finally understand how to light, how to take a photograph, how to put all the mechanics together, I just started shooting Black women because I was like, I'm gonna take over the beauty world. I'm gonna show how great we are. You
mhm,
know,
mhm, mhm.
so that you get we've Black women has been my subject. Little did I know, I guess my entire life
Huh.
because
Oh,
I've been, with my mom, my sister, my aunts. Like I've been engulfed. I've been
correct.
obsessed. I'm just enamored with us, and it's just I couldn't understand again being that curious kid why am I not in the beauty ads? Like I understand that Hallie's Black, but Hallie don't got hair like me.
Yes,
She
yes.
can she can be there. She can represent, you know, Black women, but we're so multifaceted that you can't just have Hallie and she just is the face of all Black women.
And I think it's just almost this. I mean, we're breaking the mold as years are, passing and we're coming to it. Of saying,
Definitely.
hey, there are other options out there. There are other,
Mm-hmm.
ways. With pretty much even like with makeup, you know what I mean? Like that had to be
Yeah.
broken to saying like, hey, these aren't the only four colors of range of
Mm-hmm.
women that are out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We come in various different shades. Um, so when I was doing my research and I was, looking like what's the top women photographers.
Mm-hmm.
And, Annie Leibovitz came up as, being number one, which,
Number one.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I understand because of just her work of just, portrait photography and,
Mm-hmm.
fashion and all of that. So then I refined my search to say, okay, Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I drew to the most was Carrie Mae Weems.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, wow, like she's in Guggenheim,
Mm-hmm.
like the work is there. And there was a specific series that she did, which was like the kitchen series,
Mm-hmm.
where she uses herself as like the subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that, her being the subject, everything that would surround her within this, what I was looking at within the images, it would change her body language, right? And it would change how the energy of the room felt. So if there were children in the room, in the picture, in the frame, um, it felt like almost a sense of like mother protection,
Mhm.
curiosity, like what are they thinking? Just in her facial features and body language.
Mhm.
When
Yeah.
it came to another image of like, she had an image where a man was like, behind her,
Mhm.
embracing her. It was
Mhm.
like love, and like you can feel the energy. So that's why I like gravitated to her work. And I guess what I want to ask you, what I'm leading up to, is that when you're taking, these images of these women, how how do you feel the room? You get what I mean? How do you make them comfortable?
Yeah.
Because photographers, sometimes they can be like authoritative. They're like, move your head, stand up, turn around. You know what I mean? But you actually, it's one-on-one, right? Of how
Yeah.
you are, okay. And then when you're doing them one-on-one, you now have to, it's now more intimate. So now you can really feel the energy to having to someone like relax, or
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Or do someone come
Mhm.
here like, okay, girl, I'm ready. Like, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you walk us through that and tell us like your experience?
Let me tell you, that is such a good question. I love this question. And
Mhm.
it's not going to be a long answer. It's
Yeah.
really
Okay.
simple.
Okay.
It's really simple, especially when I'm photographing like models who are out here.
Yeah.
When they see a black woman photographer, all that shit sheds off. They're just like, "Oh." They just be like, we just talk
Yes.
and we just naturally relate. And then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes we fall into conversations about um oh, I just love how you photograph because like I shot with this one guy and it just wasn't like this, or the energy wasn't there, or he didn't take the time. Whenever I move like the slightest piece of hair, or I fix like a shirt or ask for some lotion, they're like, if I was photographing with a white woman or a man, no one is putting this much care
Mm.
into me. I don't know if they can't see it, maybe because I understand what it feels like. Um, but they're just they feel comfortable and they feel like I care because I do. And
Mhm.
I understand, like, I know you're not gonna like this photo if your hair just sticking out like that, or if your edge is like just kind of coming up a little bit. You need just like a little gel, or you need to comb it down, or whatever it is. Or if you have like, or if you're ashy on your hands or something, like, I know you're not gonna like this photo. So why waste the time to create a photo you're not gonna like,
Right.
you know? And regardless if I'm photographing for someone personally or if I'm photographing, for a brand, I mean, I'm going to treat you the same. You're going to get the same amount of care,
Mm.
So I think it's just that
That's
we
what.
relate.
Yeah, that's
We
so
relate.
enlightening, because
Mhm.
like I get it. I get
Yeah.
it, to like actually feel like you're paying attention to me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you actually are, not only because you only have one space where you're looking through, right? And you're capturing the whole landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to focus in on specifically them, to say, okay, wait a minute, this is going to affect the landscape. Because if my eyes are, in this little, lens, and seeing like this, that little bit of a detail, you'll see it.
Yeah.
The picture comes to life. You're like,
Yeah.
how did she tell me that was happening? Like,
Yeah.
because we're going to
Exactly.
scrutinize ourselves first. You know how we get
Right.
a group of pictures. I don't even care about anybody else. I'm like, well, what
You
do I
looking at yourself.
Yeah, I'm looking at myself first. I'm like, well,
Exactly.
what do I look
Exactly.
like before,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the whole landscape of how the image looks.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
I totally get that. And that's so, now I'm like more appreciative of just like, I would be more aware of like a photographer to be like, okay, are you being more conscious and kind
Yeah.
of, in tune of me in the picture? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, it's
Exactly.
not even being vain. It's just like just little details that
Yeah.
I will, rip myself apart about.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And like, I mean, I've been on the other side of the camera and I had a white woman shooting video, and when I got the footage back, I was like, and this is why you hire black women.
Yeah, because we can see the little
I
details.
didn't even I can't even use it.
Hmm. Do
Yeah,
you
no.
see yourself? Do you see yourself in the women you photograph?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. At different parts of my life. Um Always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably why also I'm able to connect, because of course, if if you see yourself, it's like, I don't know. That's a good question. I like that question. It's
Hmm.
like if I see myself, yeah, I'm gonna put that extra care into it because I love me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What about the emotion behind it? I'm always about emotion in images,
Mm-hmm.
which is why certain artists that I like and I follow,
Mm-hmm.
Rothko, Bradford, Carrie J.
Mm-hmm.
Marshall,
Mm-hmm.
um, Karen Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, I could keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge Bennett,
Mm-hmm.
I could keep going. You know what I mean? So, um, so let me kind of switch this around. So, I had an opportunity to go to Basel, right, for Art Basel.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, just to let everyone know, Art Basel is like one of the largest like international like art fair um,
Mm-hmm.
shows, where there are many leading galleries that come in and showcase, art that sometimes have never been seen because these galleries are able to possess these pieces, right?
And
And just keep in mind, Basel is not only just it's not only just Miami. It's also Basel is originally from Basel, Switzerland.
mm-hmm.
And then there's Miami Beach, and then there's also Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to see like works from and in larger landscapes like Pollock's and
Mm-hmm.
Stella's,
Mm-hmm.
even Basquiat's that I've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm navigating through and I kind of like reflect back, I'm like, gosh, I really didn't see any like photography. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you see everything on canvas and like silk screen. And what's so interesting about that, it's like you have someone who's like one of the biggest like pop artists, right? Andy Warhol. That's how he started. And then he kind of transitioned to like silk screen and creating this pop art.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like, because photos, of course now you can have them in different frames, but when they're like enlarged or like magnified, it
You
actually
can
forces
feel them.
you can feel them. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to understand like, and from your perspective, like why would you think like photography doesn't have such a, I guess, a large voice, like as much as someone who can do like a canvas painting.
You know, when photography first started in the 1800s, and it was growing and people were trying to figure out what is this like daguerreotype, what is paper, what is, what is light. um it took photography even into the late 1800s. It took photography a really long time to be appreciated as art.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think that it's crazy. It's 2021, or even it's 21st century. Even in the 21st century, like, it's still not getting the same play. And I think that it's still somewhere not considered as important in the art world as paintings.
Which is nuts because like images, they travel through history. That's how we see things, through civil rights, through movements, through um I don't know, fashion, through beauty. You get what I
Yeah, and
mean? Like,
I find it interesting. I find it interesting. I've never been to Basel, but I find it interesting that you haven't ran into any photography. Or
you
maybe
know,
not as much.
not as much, but the thing about it is that it wasn't like I was looking either.
Mm, okay.
Do you get what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Mhm,
it was like
mhm,
my
mhm.
focus was on canvas work.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
not that I'm like, oh, there's Richard Avedon's work. Let's just
Mhm, mhm.
that. You know
Right,
what I mean?
exactly. Cuz
Like
I'm
it's
like,
not something that I thought of, and that's why I what I said in the beginning of our interview was just like, wow, I feel like like I did a disservice to like just another form of art,
yeah.
which is that. You get what I mean? Because like
Mhm.
when I see even Carrie Me Weems, like Gordon Parks, you get what I mean? These
Yeah.
people that have
Yeah.
work that I'm just kind of like. I see it and I'm like, wow, but I'm not really like seeing it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where I'm
Yeah.
not really paying attention. And that's why I'm just like, now I'm going to be definitely more aware and like
Mm-hmm.
wanting to walk into these spaces to finding that kind of work, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And not just
Um,
like a fashion book, you know, like where you can just scroll and kind of look through, which I love. You know, there are a lot of images that I see, I'm like, woof, wow, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But
Yeah.
to actually walk into spaces and saying like, hey, do you have any photography, like where are your photography work, you know, where's any of your photographers that are artists as well? Because
Mm-hmm.
it takes art to hold a camera, it takes art to actually capture an image and actually you kind of pull emotion from someone else looking on the other end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, where was I? Was I in Philly?
Uh,
Huh?
oh, I thought I had thrown you off. Go ahead.
I'm like trying to figure out what museum I was in. Oh my God. It's really just, I can't think of it, but I went to a museum. Okay, Irvin was there. So I must have been, oh, I was in um I was in Portland,
Mm,
and it seemed like the whole bottom level was photography. And it started out with Richard Avedon's Western photos,
mm-hmm,
where he was out in the Wild West,
mm-hmm,
photographing people, right? Everyday people on white backgrounds.
mm-hmm.
Um, and those were massive. Those are bigger than life size. But then I ran into like smaller Gordon Park fashion work. And the thing about Gordon Parks, and I'm just talking at this point, so you can redirect whenever you want. But
No,
the thing about
good.
Gordon Parks is like he had his hand in literally everything. Like he has fashion work, he has like time work, he has like civil rights work, he has like, was it the Dust Bowl? I think he photographed like the Dust Bowl. Like he has work that he has like such a range of work that has always like influenced me and kind of stayed in the back of my mind because he wasn't like pigeonholed or like, put in a box. Like he just went and photographed and did anything. And I loved it.
Mm-hmm,
And it's crazy because during the civil rights, there were other black photographers, but
mm-hmm.
he was the that could have shot it, but he was the only one chosen to shoot it, and they gave work to like other white photographers. And that always just bothers me because it's
Wow.
not like there was a lack of,
Mm-hmm.
they just didn't want to.
Well, I mean,
And sometimes I feel like that happens now.
yeah,
There
of
isn't a
course.
lack, we just don't have visibility. We're here,
Exactly.
but you keep giving it to Chad
Mm-hmm.
and Dylan, you know?
Because it's
That's
only
not
just
right.
a certain percentage that we can be acquired, right, or be given. Even
Right. And
even even
exactly.
even in this whole shift of brands and beauty and
Mm-hmm.
we want to make a percent, we want to give 15 or 20% to
Mm-hmm.
making sure that we have black owned businesses in our
Mm-hmm.
in or that we are selling in our companies, in our major retailers, and that it's just like I don't want to go back and forth with that, but I feel like, because I could go on all day, but it's just kind of like you feel like it's not enough. You get what I mean? So it's just like, it's
Yeah.
like we always feel like people make you feel like, well, I mean, they're giving us something. And I'm just like, I get it, but they can give us more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like you don't want to, beggars shouldn't be choosers, kind of a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of like this energy that someone tries to put on you to say, like, well, listen, I got 10. Like, what is it? What, like, you want more? And I'm like, yeah, I want more. Like, you
Absolutely.
got more, you're giving us like a slice of the pie. Like, of course
Yeah.
I want more,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
we're working on every single day. I think
Mm-hmm.
that definitely social media definitely can help and aid in people getting their own businesses,
Oh,
going.
yeah. And
We
that's
don't
what
want
we
to have,
have always that's what we had to like revert to, right? Because if they're not gonna give it to us,
then the consumer will be out there too,
we gotta make it for ourselves.
we
Yeah.
got to
So
make it for
social media has definitely been able to help a lot of black businesses pivot, especially and slightly unfortunately during the pandemic because of the whole oh, Black people, we didn't know that you were so
Yes.
like,
What's
what the fuck? Have
going
you been here?
on? Yes, exactly.
You
Exactly.
know? There's a really good group called Black Women Photographers
Mm,
ran by Polly, and she has been really helping young Black women understand this industry and how to go about it. So she's been partnering with like Flickr and Pinterest and
nice.
photo editors and creative directors and people who have been in the game for decades, and she's been able to host like talks and workshops and allowing these women to gain knowledge and information in a space where
It's so limited.
yeah, and the reason why it's so limited is because let's just say I'm Chad and you're whoever, and I'm just like, hey, you want a job? Gaining all this knowledge, being an assistant, right? So now he knows how to run a set, right? So now you come up and you're a photographer, and now you reach down to insert white man, right? And it's just like this repetitive cycle
Mm-hmm.
that happens, and there's no room or space for someone like me to get in there because I guess you don't know me. So you don't feel comfortable with me being on set. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe I lack the information and the knowledge. So you don't feel like I'm knowledgeable enough to be on set. But why am I not knowledgeable? Because there's no space for me to get in because you keep reaching back to your sons and
Yeah.
your brothers and whoever else. And then it's just a it's just a khaki pant fucking white man set. And you're just
Yeah.
like,
What is going
where
on?
the fuck are where is the diversity? And
Yeah.
then you have a Black model on set shooting for a Black hair product. And you're just like,
Yeah.
this literally doesn't add up.
It doesn't make sense.
I know you don't have to understand totally the project that you're shooting,
Yeah.
but do you know how much more
Value.
value, how much more creative, how much more just how much more you can get if you had maybe a Black creative director, art director, or
Mhm.
maybe a Black photographer
Yeah.
or a
I mean,
Black
listen,
Mhm.
that's a major example of, remember a couple years back where they took a picture, I think it was in like London for Gap or something, where the
Mhm.
child had on
Oh, a monkey shirt.
yeah, and you're like, well, who was in the room that said this was okay? Like
Yeah.
it went through levels and steps to get to the point where it is, where it's like, this is why you have to have other nationalities, other diversities in the room to say, well, wait a minute, y'all. Like, I
This is
think,
crazy.
yeah, this is crazy. We got to think about this for a second. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As far as like
Mhm.
an image that you think that it's okay, it's like, oh, it's just a picture. But a picture, like they say, can say 1,000 words. You know what I'm saying? And to just like piggyback off what you're saying is like, okay, if you had someone of, again, another culture in here, or someone that represents who is behind the camera, it makes a difference.
Something. And then like even as far as like hair and makeup, it's just like it's so important to have a variety of people on set
Mhm.
and who can who can give their point of view and who can bring their knowledge to set to where I shouldn't be able to look at a photo and be like, well, no Black people on that set.
Right.
I've seen like beauty portraits of women with their hair. I'm like, who did hair? Who did this girl's hair?
Yeah, yeah,
Even in the H&M, like on their site, this like little Black girl, her hair was looking outrageous.
yes,
I was
yeah,
just like, who was there?
yes. Like, what's going on?
It's such a struggle. So, um, to go back to the Black women photographers, she's putting in that work that's giving these women
Opportunities.
opportunities, but more knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And now they can go out and confidently say, hey, can I assist you? I'm looking for an assisting job,
Nice.
et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I, we discussed and we're talking about the fact of, you loving to like the subject of Black women as being your subject, and loving to take those photographs. What do you love about being a Black woman?
Oh, everything. I
Mm-hmm.
love it all. It's nothing like, even in like everyday things, like let's say I have a delivery for groceries, or if I'm walking into like a Target, like there's nothing like, oh, hey girl, I like your braids. Where'd you get your braids done at?
Yes.
You
I
know?
love that. Yes.
And it's so nice just having that, like, it's like a sisterhood without actually having to like be
Oh my
in like
God.
it's like just our beauty. It's like it's just unmatched, and the confidence and what we can do and achieve, and then what we can do and achieve when we're together. Like it's endless possibilities, and I just
So
love
much
it.
power. So much
Yeah.
power.
Mhm.
What is what's a feature of yourself that you uh your favorite feature of yourself?
Oh,
And
I love my eyes.
oh, of course. Of course you
They're
love
my favorite.
your eyes.
I love them. I love like Um, I mean, I spent the last year without makeup on, so I just like I'm basking in it. But I love like a wing. I love to accentuate my eyes as much as possible.
Mhm.
Me and my sister, when we would grow up, we would ask each other like stuff like that, and it would just be our eyes. Like I don't know, I just love the shape of it. It like reminds me of my mom. Like my sister has it. My sister, me and my brother have it. So it's like this one thing that we all have. Like
Yeah.
that's my feature.
That's even great to even say, like, to even kind of like tell express that to your children and say, what's your favorite feature of yourself, just as a
Yeah.
reminder for themselves to say, like, to be confident, be strong, be in one with like your looks. You get what I mean?
Mhm.
And never let anyone
Yeah.
tell you that your eyes aren't beautiful, your nose isn't beautiful, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
lips aren't
Yeah.
good, your skin is
Mhm.
good, you know what I mean, like all those affirmations that it's just kind of like to affirm, to say who you are,
Yeah.
that defines who yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and then my next question is, what's the takeaway? I know I sent this to you, what takeaway beauty secret, but what's the takeaway beauty and photography secret you can share with the viewers?
Oh man. Okay, so beauty secret or beauty photography secret?
We can split it.
Okay.
Photography, yeah.
Um honestly, my beauty secret, cuz I learned this again over the past year, is sunscreen. Sunscreen is
Okay,
literally like it's literally the best thing ever. It's
okay.
helped me for my like hyperpigmentation, and
Yeah.
I just love it so much.
Mm.
Photography secret? Um,
I mean, something that when we're, on Instagram, like, okay, let me take a picture of myself. You know what I mean? Like, what should we be aware of?
always be aware of light. I mean, because that's literally what photo means.
Mhm.
I would say you don't have to think too much. Like a simple, like, I don't know if everyone has the access to, but if you can, like a like a heavy cotton or linen, or maybe like, I try to stay away from bed sheets, but maybe just something as simple, um piece of cloth. If you
Yeah.
put that up and have like perfect light or good light, nice light,
Mhm.
um you could do a lot with that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, one of our biggest famous singers, I think, did a backdrop like that, was like Beyonce, with like her
Oh
baby
yeah, yeah, in
like
her
that. Yeah.
backyard. Yeah,
Yeah, like it was
exactly.
so simple. Like it was just like a simple like backdrop. Like it was
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like in photography, like I know that a lot of our equipment costs $1 million, but there's also equipment that costs like $5 if you're willing to like DIY a little bit, like
Mhm.
um I can show you right here.
Yeah.
So we all used to do like science fair projects and stuff, and we used to have those like boards or whatever you get for $1 or whatever at Walmart.
Okay.
So like this.
Oh, is it like that three-way one?
No, this is just the regular, just like one board, like
Oh,
just
okay.
one
Oh,
blackboard. So
yeah.
if you get a black like um like scientific or what is this called? It's like a whiteboard, blackboard. It's like something really simple about Elmer's.
Okay.
If you can get this in black on one side and white on the other side, that literally can change, like that can change the game.
What you?
Like,
Yeah, is that
so
is this the same one where you're saying that you can direct the light? Or
exactly.
oh,
Yeah. So it
I was,
and you
I was always curious about that. I'm like, what are they doing with this when they're bouncing it off the, they're holding it, they're having assistants like hold it on the
yeah,
side or whatever. I'm like, what are they? Are they just,
reflector.
oh, reflector. Okay. Wow, I just learned something new today. I could have learned that forever. Oh wow, the reflector. What is the black side gonna do though? You would think you would want it on the white
The
side.
you could take this board and cover it in aluminum foil,
Aluminum foil.
and that can be a reflector
What? So wait,
instead of like
what is
buying.
the reflection? What when you're doing that, what does that do for in pictures?
It just adds like a nice pop of light, like a nice
Huh.
like beam of light. Now, if you don't want the light to reflect so hard, that's when you use the white. So
Uh,
it's like a nice soft bounce. But now, if you want to add shadow, like let's say I'm shooting you and you want to add just like some shadow to create like a nice shape, you
yeah.
put that black card.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try
Yeah.
that.
And that what I just named, that's a game changer. Everyone has it in their kit. That's little what I just said. If you buy this from Walmart and they get you some aluminum foil, you're under $10.
Wow.
Or you can go to Sammy's or Autorama or B&H and buy it for $30 if you want,
Mhm.
whatever you want to do. But, you
Right.
don't always, that's my tip. You don't always have to spend big bucks to like, you can cut corners in areas. Don't
Hmm.
cut corners on like your lenses. Like you want your lenses to be nice, but things like that
You can maneuver around.
you can maneuver. Yeah. Hmm.
Wow, I'm gonna try that. I know you gotta, I would love for you to still shoot me.
I would love to. We've been trying to make it work for like a month, but
I know, I know.
I got a new studio downtown. So if you want to pop on by sometime
Yeah. Okay.
whenever you're available.
Of course, of course. Nick,
New endeavors.
yes, new endeavors, opportunities. Thank you so much. Give us all your handles. Everyone, I'll have all of Nick's information in the description box below. But yeah, Nick, give us all your handles, how anyone can reach you and
Yeah. So Nikk Rich, pretty much all the way across the board. On Instagram, it's Nikk Rich Photo.
Mhm.
My email is info@nickrich.com. That's pretty much where I sit. I don't have like a million social medias. I
Yeah,
cannot handle more than just Instagram.
yeah,
So feel free, DM me, reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to share any or answer any questions at
great.
all. Yeah.
When are we seeing some work on some larger scale? Like, I mean, I want to see it big because that's how I like feel like, whew, I want to see like I love work on larger scales because it makes me stay
Yeah.
still and really kind of take in every little detail.
It really like you get to sit with the piece and really kind of like digest it. I've never thought of going bigger. I've thought about making another book. I I made a book dedicated to my mom a
Oh,
couple years ago when I had my first solo show in DC.
yes,
Um, and I featured women that I shot over the course of like a year and a half in like my apartment.
yes, yes.
And this is another like ode to black women. And this is another like this is another I'm why can't I think of words? Why can't I think of words? But what I did was with every image, it's just text. So like every image has like text to go with it. So you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're wanted.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
you are magic. And that's with hopes that by the end of the person reading the book or looking at the book, they feel encouraged and empowered and, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
a little
That would be
um
that's if any, you don't take my advice, who am I? But But I would love to see your work on a
Me too.
large scale, because I really feel like it will definitely make the room not feel like they have to rush through the work because
Mm-hmm.
someone else wanting to see the piece when it's at a smaller, like, by frame.
Mm-hmm.
But actually say, okay, I'm looking at this, like, go around to the next image.
Yeah, I would love to have like another show. Like that's my goal to have like another show. I would love to print large. That would be amazing.
Mhm.
Do you curate?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe we could
I
collab.
feel like you would be so amazing at it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. But
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, Nick. I really
Thank
appreciate
you for having me.
this. This was such an amazing conversation.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you guys.
was.
Again, all the information will be down in the description box below. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks so much.